Hey friend, Coach Kyle here, and with it being fall, that just means winter and cooler temps are approaching. If you live anywhere that has lows or maybe even highs at or around freezing, it's gonna get cold here soon, and this video is gonna be super helpful for you as I share and you learn my best tips for winter gear. To further help out the community, please drop a comment below with some of your favorite winter running tips, tricks, or actual pieces of gear you find most valuable in those cold winter months. Like I said, if you live in an area of the world that experiences those chilly winters, it can sometimes be tough to manage your clothing. So today I'm going to go through some of my favorite items. I got them laid down here in detail so you know exactly what I wear in those cold winter months. There are two main reasons this is important. The first is because without proper gear, depending on the conditions, it can be downright dangerous if the temperature and the road, the trail conditions are poor, are cold. It can be dangerous. Secondly, is because one of the best ways to stay motivated in the winter is to know that you've got good gear and it's gonna be fine once you get out there. I know personally, having the warmest jacket basically in the world helps me get out and get those winter runs done. So let's dive in. All right, I'm gonna start at the bottom and go up. So first we have shoes. Now, one thing you've probably seen before are yak tracks, traction devices that you can strap on to the bottom of your shoes to improve the traction, the grip. And I don't use those very often. I don't actually have a pair. I've given them away, and that's because most of the winter running I do is either on the treadmill or on the road, or they do such a great job here in Rapid City with clearing the bike path that I don't need yak tracks. I don't need extra traction. However, one thing I did do last year is I took my Saucony Kinvaras and I put some screws into the outsole, and I put maybe 5 screws into, straight into the outsole of the shoes. And what that does is it offers a little bit of extra traction down here, but it's not so much that it's uncomfortable or obtrusive when you're running on flat pavement. Now, if I was doing more trail running in the winter, I would absolutely keep some yak tracks on my shoes or at hand for those trail winter runs. Now, something I just kind of got at the tail end of last year are these shields, and it's a shoe cover, and these are really nice when it's super cold out. And again, you might be doing some trail running or some running where you're gonna be going through snow drifts or whatnot. Keeping the top of your shoe covered can prevent cold air from getting in there and really making your toes freeze, but also prevent snow from getting on top and melting into the shoe, so it keeps your toes, your feet warmer, drier. If you suffer from anything like Raynaud's syndrome, where you really struggle with cold temperatures, this definitely look into one of these. I'm actually going to probably give these to my realtor who has Raynaud's, and I think he'll benefit from these greatly. Now, aside from the shoe covers to cover up the top of the toe box, check out a pair of gaiters to cover up the back around your ankle. These are nice, and again, I don't wear these very often, but if I'm going out on a trail run, or if it's the first run in the morning after a nice, really decent snowfall, I'm gonna throw these on to keep snow from going inside the shoe around my heel, around my ankle. Also, these are nice for trail running. The forest out here, the Black Hills National Forest, is mostly pine, so a lot of the trails are just covered in dried pine needles, and these work really well to keep some of that debris and whatnot, or gravel roads. They work really well to keep some of that junk out of your shoes. So they work in all seasons. These are some really minimal ones from Solomon, and I've had these for probably 8 or 9 years, and they are fantastic, and I think you can still buy them. So highly recommend getting a pair of nice gaiters for your winter running as well. Next up is socks, and I actually don't change what I do in the winter versus the summer when it comes to socks, except for one thing. I'm more inclined to wear taller socks in the winter. And this is for a reason that I can't fully explain. But what happens, and let me know if you've ever experienced this, but if it's 40 degrees outside or a little cooler, my no-show in gingies will fall down under my heel. I promise you, if it's 42 degrees, it won't happen, but if it's 39 degrees, it will happen. So in the winter, and I don't actually like these tall socks. I just don't like how they look. But in the winter, I wear these because they're above the heel collar of the shoe and they don't slip down. And it happens with all my shoes, so it's not due to one particular pair of shoes. But let me know if you've ever noticed anything like that. If you have any way to explain it, I'd be really curious to hear the answer. Okay, so we got our feet covered. We have our socks. We talked about traction. We talked about shoe covers. Let's move on to the legs. Tights are where it's at. I promise you, you might be thinking tights, pants, what's the best way to go with? Definitely go with tights. The reason is because the tights will keep the cold air off of your skin. They're tight against your legs so that cold air isn't directly on your skin, and they'll wick moisture, sweat off of your skin better as well. Under them, I just wear a pair of like briefs like this. Nothing fancy. These were just cheap at Target, but getting a few good pair of tights will make your winter running easier. Highly recommend getting a couple nice pairs of tights. Don't bother with pants. They flap around, they're noisy, and I don't think they do as good of a job when it comes to keeping you warm. Okay, now we've got the tights covered. And next up is a belt, and this is a running belt, and these are nice to have. In the winter, I'm more inclined to bring my phone with me, almost more so for a safety reason, just to have it with me, just in case I were to fall and get hurt, or you never know. So in the winter, I'm more inclined to bring my phone with me, and that's where the flip belt comes in. The reason I like the flip belt for winter running is because it is basically a tube. It's basically like a sock that goes all the way around your waist. These are I've done a couple marathons with these. They're fantastic, but especially in the winter, one thing to keep in mind is depending on the type of battery your phone has, this older iPhones especially were susceptible to this. When they got too cold, your phone would think that your battery is more dead than it actually was, and it would die. So one tip to prevent that from happening is to have a flip belt like this, so it kind of keeps the phone closer to your body and under all of your layers. So it keeps your phone warmer and prevents it from shutting off prematurely. But also these are just nice to keep gels, keys in, etc. And there's the pockets are just slits going around it like that. So highly recommend checking out a flip belt if you're looking for any type of belt whatsoever. Okay, next up we have my absolute #1 favorite winter item, and that is a giant coat. I cannot recommend enough investing in a super warm, absurdly warm winter running coat. This is just a Columbia. And actually I found this at Goodwill for like $15. I don't know. And it's a pullover. I can wear this and just a t-shirt under it, and it can be like 5 degrees below zero, and I will be totally fine. So this is one of the best tools for winter running motivation too. Knowing I have this crazy warm jacket that I go out and I will not be cold at all, no matter the temperature. Knowing that helps me get out the door. So if you're serious about winter running, go to, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. This was, I don't know, $15. I don't know how old it is. I've had it for years, and it gets me out the door. Okay, so we've gone up to our chest. What's next? We've got our hands. So again, with the jacket, I really recommend getting a super warm pair of mittens. And again, these came from Goodwill. They were $1, and it can be 0 degrees Fahrenheit. These will keep my hands super toasty and warm. And again, knowing that I have the proper gear to head out in basically any winter condition, and I'm gonna be fine, I'm not gonna be cold, is great motivation to help me get out the door. So what I often recommend, if you want to buy a brand new pair of mittens, go to the bike shop, go to a cycling store. And cyclists, they have to deal with not only the cold, but the wind as well. So if you want to get a really good pair of winter mittens, go to a bike shop. But again, get a mitten, or bonus points, get a pair of gloves that have a mitten flap over it. I have a pair of those for like the typical, like 40, 50 degree days. But if it's gonna be 5, 20 degrees outside, whatever, I'm going with a nice pair of mittens. All right, so let's talk about protecting our neck, our head. One of the most versatile things you can possibly own as a runner is a buff. And I actually got this out of a Stride box, but buffs are basically, like a neck warmer. It's the last few months of our lives, and this is super versatile. Like I said, you can just put it around your neck to kind of protect your neck. If you want, you're out running and you turn into the headwind, you can pull it up and just cover your face like that. But if you want to get crafty with it, one way to do, let's see if I can remember how to do this. You pull it up like this. There. So it can kind of double as a face mask and keep your ears and your head warm as well. So again, super handy, really nice to have. Also, get, again, a absurdly warm cap. And I like the ones that have the ear flaps that I can tie down here to really protect my head. I can't stress this enough. Getting some really warm gear will help you get out the door, because it's gonna be fine. And you've probably heard the saying or the quote that there's no such thing as, There's no such thing as bad weather, only poor gear choices, or something like that. And that's true, 100%. Having good gear will help you in the winter become a more successful runner. Look at all this stuff as an investment in your running and yourself, your mentality, your life. I think a lot of us, I got off a call with a guy today and we talked about how, especially since COVID struck, a lot of my clients have realized how important running is, not only to that goal half marathon, but day by day, making us feel better. It helps with our sleep, our productivity. We're better parents, spouses, etc. Everything is better with running. And like run coaching is an investment in helping you run better, so is good gear. It helps you get out the door. It helps you run safer. It helps you run better. So like all these pieces of gear are an investment in your running to help you run smarter, safer, and better, so is having a coach. I hear it all the time from my clients that they didn't feel like going out because the weather was garbage, but they didn't want to let Coach Kyle down. So they went out, and as soon as they start, and especially after they finish, they're glad they did. And they're proud of what they had done because they overcame that resistance and the activation energy required to get out the door when it was 40 degrees outside. So if you want to take that investment idea to the next level, not only with your gear, but with your running coach, get a hold of me. You know how to find me. You're watching me right now. Comment, DM me. Let me know. Go to kylecrans.com, find that application button, fill out your information, schedule a call, and let's chat. I told somebody on a call earlier today, I don't want you to think about it, not do it, and wish you would have done it 3 months from now. Regret sucks, and we don't want to deal with that. All you have to do is DM me, comment below that you want more information, go to kylecrans.com, fill out the application form, let's chat, let's get you going now, fit and having fun, so when spring rolls around, you're better off than you would otherwise have been, and you have a better fall and winter than I think you would normally have. So, kylecrans.com, let's get started. And before you leave, check out the playlist here with more winter running videos, tips and tricks to help make your winter more successful. Thanks for watching, and as always, you keep running, I'll keep coaching.